Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, anybody else who might be listening, Andy here. I went from depressed and suicidal to living a life of abundance and joy. If I can do it, you sure as hell can too. A question that I get asked a lot and a topic that comes up a lot is productivity. How can I get more done? How can I be more focused? How can I be less distracted? How can I achieve success and my goals a little bit quicker with a little bit less effort and a little bit less time wasting and feeling lost? And one of the things I love doing on this channel is asking ChatGPT for advice and then giving my sort of reaction or my own response to it. ChatGPT is trained on mainstream, so you kind of get some mainstream ideas. Sometimes the answers are great. Sometimes they leave a little bit to be desired, and I like to get in there and add my own take on it. And for this one, I actually got some really good answers. It gave some pretty good productivity hacks and answers. So we're going to go through and respond to it all or check it all out. So this is the prompt that I typed into ChatGPT. Hey ChatGPT, I'm doing a YouTube video that'll be fun and entertaining, hopefully. The title is this, the best productivity hacks according to an AI. You're the AI I'm referring to. So give me your best advice, and I'm going to do a video on it, basically rating how good I think your advice is, adding my own advice, etc. And it responded by saying, boosting productivity is a common goal for many. Here are some strategies to help you be more productive each day. And the first one it said is set clear goals. I love this one. Start your day by setting clear and specific goals. Identify the most important tasks or priorities that need to be accomplished. This clarity will guide your focus and help you stay on track. So I myself like to actually do this the night before. I find that works a little bit better for me. So the evening before, maybe like 6 or 7 p.m., I will take a bit of time and I have a reminder in my phone that reminds me every night, think about what you want to do tomorrow. And I will think about some goals that I want to achieve, maybe some fun things that I want to do as well. You're allowed to have fun on this self-improvement journey. And I used to write them down on a piece of paper and then cross them off during that day as I achieved them. I don't do that anymore. Now I just have them in my calendar or I keep it up here in my mind, up here. I don't need to have it written down, but do whatever you want. But I like to do it the night before because then I get excited about what I'm going to do the next morning. I feel like I get to go to bed in a nice headspace. I look at the goals not as a series of to-do list stuff and like chores and stuff I have to do. I like to look at it in terms of fun things that I get to do. And so even the phrasing that's being used here need to be accomplished. Nothing needs to be done. You're allowed to accomplish those things. It's a fun thing that you get to work on. And phrasing it like that or framing it like that makes you a little bit more excited. If I say there's some things I need to do tomorrow or today, you feel stressed. You're like, oh shit, I got to get this stuff done. Then you got to use willpower. You got to use motivation. You got to force yourself and push yourself. But if instead you say there's some things that I get to do, that I'm allowed to do, that I'm excited to do, you show up with a lot more energy and enthusiasm. It's a lot more fun. But yeah, I really like this first one. Set some goals for each day. Also, it didn't say this, but it might be worth setting some goals in general. Like there's no point just setting a bunch of daily to-do list stuff if you don't know what it's building towards, if you don't have a goal in general, if you're kind of just lost in terms of anything that you're doing in your life, I would spend a bit of time saying to yourself, what do I want to do? What do I want to work on? I did a video on this recently. This video here called How to Start Your Goals Right Now, Today, and I talk about how to even come up with some goals, how to know what you want. This video here covers the exact same thing. It's called the 7 Pillars of Success, the ultimate guide to being successful. And I talk about how to even know what goals that you want to work on. But essentially something that really helps is to just say to yourself, what do I want? Or if that doesn't bring up any ideas or goals for you, you could say, what would be cool to try? And you don't have to know exactly what it is you're going to work on. You just say, what would be a nice, fun, cool thing to try? And you start as that as your goal. And then your daily to-do list items or your daily mini goals, what you work on each day, will feed into those big goals that you've set. But yeah, overall, I like this one. Set some goals for each day and have some big overarching goals in general. Right, the second bit of advice, prioritize your tasks. Determine the importance and urgency of each task on your to-do list. Prioritize them based on the impact and deadline. Focus on completing high priority tasks first to maximize productivity. Generally speaking, I think this is pretty solid advice, but you might say, yeah, but I don't know the importance and urgency of each task that I want to work on each day. Like, how am I supposed to know? And so I wouldn't stress yourself out about knowing the importance and making sure you perfectly prioritize them. Just do your best. And if you work on a task first and then later on you realize, you know what, I don't actually think that's going to move me closer towards my goals. I don't think that was the most productive use of my time. Cool, you've learned something. So nothing bad happens just because you supposedly waste a whole bunch of time. There is no wasted time. You learned something. You learned, oh, okay, I won't prioritize that next time. Maybe next time I'll prioritize the more important thing, or the thing that I've figured out is more important and will lead me towards my goals. So generally speaking, I think this is pretty good advice. A lot of the time we will procrastinate working on that thing that we kind of deep down know, or we have a pretty good sense that it's going to be an important task that will add to our productivity and lead us towards success and the deadline. But we kind of procrastinate it, don't we? And we do a whole bunch of like busy work, and we keep busy and we do other stuff. And we know it's not really moving the needle in terms of achieving success and happiness and all of that. But we do it just to procrastinate. And so if you catch yourself doing that, that's okay. Like if you find yourself procrastinating, or maybe you're giving into your vices and you're wasting a bunch of time, it's not wasted time, but you're playing a bunch of video games or something rather than working on your goals, that's okay. You don't have to be perfect with this. Something that can help that I do is I break up my daily to-do list items in terms of things that will have, or I think will have, the biggest impact, things that I think will be a little bit of an impact, and then like fun hobbies and rewards and stuff like that. And what I like to do is I work on the big impact stuff first, like literally from the moment I wake up. The first thing I do when I wake up at roughly 4 a.m. You don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. That's just when I like to wake up. But when I wake up, I will record content like this. Like it's 7 in the morning now. This is the third video I've recorded today. Like I started recording at about 4:30 a.m. this morning. I'll record the content. Then I will go into my coaching group and coach everybody and give them answers and record them voice messages and be there for them and all of that. And then after I've done all of that, I might do some other work on the business for a bit. And then in the afternoon from about, 2 p.m. onwards is free time for me. So I start my work at 4 a.m., do roughly 8 hours roughly, and then I will chill for the rest of the day. And sometimes I'll still do some work in the afternoon, but I usually am learning and reading my books and learning how to be a better coach. So I guess that's kind of like work, but I enjoy it. And I will spend time with Imi. We might have sex. We might date other people and have sex with them too. And so what I'm getting at here is if you can do the biggest tasks first, which is what this says, do those first from the millisecond that you get up in the morning, if you can. And then spend a bit of time doing some stuff that kind of helps, but isn't as important. It's not moving the needle as much. And then what you can do is schedule that fun, relaxation, enjoyment time. That stops you from procrastinating. You get up in the morning, you do the biggest task first and you knock it out, and then do the lesser tasks and then relax and chill. For you, like for all of you, you might have a different priority of how you like to do things, but that's how I like to do things. I like to get the work done in the morning as soon as I wake up. Then I like to do the lesser tasks, and then I like to have the reward of fun. And that helps me actually let go and enjoy the rewards. Like enjoy the video games. I play some video games sometimes. Enjoy time with Emmy or other people. Enjoy time with my friends, because I know I've already gotten a lot done that day. I've done everything that day. I can let go and actually enjoy the reward. A lot of the time people put the reward first. They'll wake up in the morning and play some video games, or they'll procrastinate, or they'll avoid doing the things that they really want to be doing, like the productive tasks, because they're scared, or they're putting a lot of pressure on themselves. And we'll cover that in the next one in a second. But if you do the reward first, a lot of the time you feel guilty, or you can't fully relax into it because you're like, oh God, like as soon as I stop playing video games, I'm going to have to go and do my tasks. I'm going to have to go and, you don't have to, but I want to go and then work on my business or dating or whatever it is you're working on. I just find it easier to do the productive stuff first, and then the reward comes second. All right, number 3 is my favorite one on this list so far. Break tasks into smaller steps. In other words, baby steps. Break down larger tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. This approach makes tasks less overwhelming and increases your sense of progress as you complete each step. Yeah, so many times we will set these big, massive to-do lists that we're going to do each day, or big goals that we want to work on. And then we feel a bit overwhelmed. We feel stressed. We're like, I'm never going to make it. I'm never going to do enough to be able to achieve that. you gotta, or it's so much easier to humble yourself and say, okay, I'm just going to take those first couple of baby steps today. I will just focus on today. I will live life one day at a time. I'll stop thinking so far ahead. I'll stop stressing myself out and overwhelming myself with how much I have to do. I'm going to stop looking at the whole picture, like the whole goal, and I'm just going to focus on the next step that will get me a little bit closer. Like Andy, I get very stressed if I look at my big goals. They freak me out. They feel impossible. But I break them down into tiny little baby steps, and then I can actually start working on them and start making some damn progress. So break them down into smaller steps. I love this one. Number 4, time management techniques. Utilize effective time management techniques like the Pomodoro technique. We'll talk about each one in a second. Time blocking or the Eisenhower matrix. So for each of these, Pomodoro technique is something that I've used quite a lot that I really like. Basically, it's a timer, and there's plenty of websites that you can do this. If you just Google Pomodoro technique or Pomodoro timer, there are a bunch of free websites that will let you use this timer. And all that you do is you click start. And the way that it works is this will count down from 25 minutes. And the idea is you be productive during those 25 minutes. You work, you get it done. And then as soon as that 25 minutes is done, you take a little 5-minute break. And you just chill, you don't think about work or productivity or whatever you're doing. Maybe you go for a really quick walk, or you just get some fresh air, or you just lay on the couch, or whatever it is. Take a little break, just don't work on work. And then when that 5 minutes break is done, you then go back for another 25 minutes and work for 25 minutes. You do this a few times, and then eventually you have a long break, a 15-minute break. You take a bit longer, go outside, do all of that. And you basically just keep doing this over and over again. I have used this many, many, many times in the past. I don't use it as much anymore. I have different techniques, which I'll talk about in a second. But this has been my little productivity technique a lot in the past. And this has helped me sit there and actually do some focused work. And then you get a break and you clear your mind. And then you work again, then a break, then work, then break, then work again, and then a longer break where you can really clear that mind. So it's a really good way of staying productive over a really long period of time. Like you can do this for like 8 hours if you want to, and it doesn't feel like you're losing motivation or energy. It feels like you're pretty productive because you're getting a bit of a break. This answer also talked about time blocking, which is pretty self-explanatory. You're just setting aside blocks of time for when you do different tasks. This is pretty much what I do now. And I don't hardcore time block, but it's just sort of like an intuitive thing that I've done for years now. Like I said, I will wake up in the morning at 4 a.m. and then the first 1 or 2 or 3 hours is recording a bunch of content. I'm not strict with how long that time has to be. My goal is just I want to work across the day until I feel like I've gotten all my work done. So, I'll usually work until midday or 2 p.m., sometime around there roughly. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a bit less. But for me, it's like when I wake up in the morning, that block of time as soon as I wake up is going towards content, is going towards my coaching clients, going towards helping people. That's what I'm going to spend my time on. And then the afternoon and the evening, or the afternoon is for fun tasks and friends and hobbies and Emmy and all of that stuff and reading and all of that, and going for a walk, going on a road trip. And then the evening is like have some dinner, start winding down for bed, get in a good headspace, think about what I'm going to do tomorrow, practice some gratitude and tell people I'm grateful for them, practice a bit of love, and then go to bed. So I'm already kind of doing time blocking, or I am doing time blocking. That's something that can help you if you want to do that. And then the last thing mentioned here is the Eisenhower matrix, which is basically just a block of 4 squares, and you basically just put each one of your to-do list items or the things you want to work on into one of these. So, at the top you can see urgent, not urgent, and then on the side important, not important. And so if it's urgent and important, then do it right away. That should go without saying. If it's not urgent, but it's important, then you think a little bit and you go, okay, when am I going to do this? When can I put some time aside, maybe in a week from now, maybe a month from now, maybe tomorrow, like whatever. I am going to put it somewhere so I don't forget it. I'll write it down, or I'll put it in my calendar or something like that. Like me, myself, I have a spreadsheet where I have all the to-do list items that I would like to do at some point in the next, 2 or 3 months. And I put them all in there. And Emmy has one as well because, we built this business together. And so she has some stuff in there, and I can add stuff to her to-do list and she can add stuff to mine, and we can add stuff to our own to-do list. And that's sort of the stuff that's in this bracket here. So it's not urgent, but it is like sort of important. Like we would like to get it done at some point. Otherwise we wouldn't put it in the list at all. Then the other box down here is stuff that's urgent, but not important. And so what you might want to do is either get someone else to do it, or some of these tasks that are urgent, but they're not super important, you might even let them go and not do them. You might go, you know what? Everyone's telling me it's urgent, but I'm allowed to say no to it. It's not important. It's not going to move the needle forward. It's not going to massively make my life better. You might let go of some of those things, or you might just decide to do it. You might go, look, it's not that important, but it is urgent. Like, people are telling me they want it to be done, but I don't think there'll be any massive consequences if I don't do it. But I would like to, for my own sense of self and my own integrity and my own, like, keeping my own word, I would like to do it. And so then what you do is you maybe, like I said before, you do the urgent and important tasks first, the tasks that will help you the most with your goals and, they're going to move the needle. Do those first and then spend the rest of the day doing a few of these not so important but urgent tasks. And then the third box is things that are not, the fourth box are things that are not important and not urgent. And the idea is you can just let them go. Or what I like to do, because some of those things are still fun, like, you might want to do it even though it's not urgent and it's not important. It's almost like a fun hobby. There are tons of things that I do for this YouTube channel and my business that are not important and are not urgent, but they're fun. They bring me some joy. I like to do them. Why not? And so, as an example for me, something that's not urgent and not important is building out my Instagram and my Twitter. I basically have neglected them, or I've never really used them, and my Twitter has like 300 followers or something. So it's not massively building the business or anything. It's not massively changing people's lives, me posting on there, is it? But I find it fun. I like the format. I like posting pictures on my Instagram. I find that fun, like taking some nude artsy photos with, Emmy and girls that we date. Well, I guess they're not nude or they wouldn't be allowed on the internet, but, and there's some like content we've done, but, just some like cute little BDSM-y, cute little girls kissing photos and stuff like that. I have fun doing them. These are definitely not urgent and they're definitely not important. They don't really affect my business in any way. They don't really massively change any of your lives or anything, but they're fun. And so they would be down in this box here. So you can delete those tasks, or you can just do them as a hobby. Like, get all of your urgent and important tasks done first, then do some of your not important but urgent tasks, or delegate them, or let go of them, whatever you want to do, and schedule when you're going to do the not urgent but still kind of important tasks. And then if you got time left over and you want to, you're allowed to do some of the not important and not urgent tasks. So basically the point of this matrix is to just help you figure out which tasks would help you the most and which ones would be the highest priorities. And again, you do not have to get any of this perfect. Like, it's okay if you put something in the urgent and important box, but then later on you realize, oh shit, that wasn't really that important. I didn't have to do that. That's okay. You learned something. It's okay if you think something's not important and not urgent, and so you delete it or you don't do it. And then a week later, someone's like, hey, why haven't you done this urgent, important task? And you're like, oh shit, I didn't think it was that important. That's okay. That's how this goes. Like, this is a process of learning and experimentation and figuring it out. You probably won't be perfect. And if it's not already clear, there are a million different time management techniques on the internet. There are a million different ways of being productive. Figure out what works for you. Like, literally just try a whole bunch. Like I said, I started out by using the Pomodoro technique all the time. I don't as much anymore. Then I moved to, actually, I did something similar to the Eisenhower matrix, where I'd basically go, I broke tasks down into 3 levels of importance: A tasks, B tasks, and C tasks. A tasks were super important and urgent, and I thought they would help me the most with my goals. B tasks were kind of important, kind of urgent, would help me a little bit. And C tasks were stuff that like probably wouldn't help that much, but like they might be fun to do. And then what I would do is each day I'd do all the A tasks first, the most important and urgent tasks, and then the ones that were kind of important or kind of helpful, and I would do them second. And then if I had some time left over, I'd fuck around with the C level tasks. So there's all these different ways of doing these things. And these days, like I said, I just use time blocking. I don't have to worry about productivity anymore. It's not something that I think about. And that's kind of the goal here, is once you get to a point where productivity is a habit for you, you don't ever think about it anymore. You just wake up in the morning, you're productive for 8 hours, you enjoy it, it's fun, it adds a lot to your life, you're grateful for it. Then you go and play with your hobbies and your friends and social life and all of that. And then you go to bed and wake up the next morning and it's beautiful and you do the same thing. Like productivity isn't something you have to stress about once you've gotten decent at it, once you build it into a habit. But the point is, you can try a bunch of different time management techniques and figure out which ones work for you. And that might change over the course of your life or as you progress with a particular goal. Okay, I really like this next one. Number 5, minimize distractions. Identify and minimize distractions that can hinder your productivity. Put away or silence your phone, close unnecessary browser tabs, and create a dedicated workspace that is free from distractions. Thank you, ChatGPT. That is some genius level advice. So one thing that I do in my phone that I've talked about many times is my phone is in black and white. And everything on my phone is black and white. And I can turn it back to color if I really need to with just a keyboard shortcut. Look, now it's back in color. Now it's back in black and white. Now it's back in color. Now it's back in black and white. And I like to leave it in black and white for as much as I possibly can so it's not distracting. Something else that I have done is I have gone into every single app on my phone. You can just do this in system settings and apply it to all of the different apps all at once. I've turned off every notification. There is no buzz. There is no fucking notification sound. None of that bullshit. The only exception is a phone call. If someone calls me, then my phone will start making noise and vibrating, obviously, because that's important to me. But even then, I disable that shit during certain times. And so if someone was to call me, my phone would just vibrate gently. But I even have periods of time, like when I'm going to be productive and when I want to work on stuff, when I will put my phone away in a different room. So I can't look at it. I can't hear it. No one can get in contact with me. I guess if it was an emergency, they could call me and I would hear them calling me and they'd keep calling me over and over again. But that's about it. And I found that helps more than anything with productivity, as well as disabling social media and stuff like that. I use a bunch of extensions for the browser, for my computer and for my phone. One of my favorite ones is called Block Site, like block site, block the website. And so I will block certain websites during certain periods of time. I've disabled news feeds on all the social media apps. I've talked about that in a ton of different videos. And something else that I do is I say to myself, I'm allowed to watch as much YouTube as I want. I can play as much video games as I want. I can have as many distractions as I want once I have been productive for the day. And so I basically move the fun hobbies and what you might call time wasting activities, YouTube and video games and all of that. I move those to the evening or to the afternoon once I have done my work for the day. So that's something that can be very helpful. That's what we talked about before with time blocking, like blocking out periods of time. So the morning for me is productive. The afternoon is fun, social, all of that kind of stuff, video games if I want to. The evening is winding down for bed. That's how I live my life. And I found that helpful. But yeah, one of the best things you could ever do for yourself is turn your fucking phone off or disable notifications. Like I don't get any notifications coming up on my phone except for 1, phone calls, 2, calendar reminders, like you have a coaching call, in 20 minutes from now. That's it. That's the only notifications that I get on my phone. And I certainly don't have any notifications on my computer. Like I've disabled all the fucking Windows bullshit notifications that come up and browser websites that want to notify me of nonsense I don't give a fuck about. I can't check my emails. That's something else I did. I took my emails off my laptop because I found that I was just going in there and checking all the damn time. The same with my YouTube channel. I've disabled the ability for me to check the view count and the metrics of any video. It might be a little hard to see on the screen, but this is the YouTube Creator Studio. So this is the back end of YouTube. This is what you see when you upload videos and stuff like that. And normally in these columns here, there is one that shows the like and dislike ratio. There's one that shows comments. They don't show up here. How have I done that? I've done that using a browser extension called uBlock Origin. And then you can right click on anything on the page. You won't be able to see me right clicking, but you can right click and there's a little box that says block element. And so you can hide the column that was there before that said like, here's how many likes and dislikes your video has. I've disabled that because otherwise I found I was just distracted by that shit. I was checking it too often. I've shown this off many times on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all of that. All that I see when I go to the homepage, like facebook.com or instagram.com, I do the same on YouTube, youtube.com, any of these things, all I see is a little motivational quote. There is no algorithm. There is no news feed. There is no pushing of bullshit onto me, which is designed to make me unhappy. Fuck that trash. I'm only about these little motivational quotes. I use this browser extension here called Newsfeed Eradicator, and that gets rid of the algorithm and all of that shit. And for YouTube, I use one called Unhook for YouTube. So as best you can, if you're able to minimize distractions on your phone, your laptop, anything else, man, you get 10,000 times more done. So many people are trying really hard to be productive and maybe build a business or work on their dating life, whatever it is you're working on. But a bunch of stuff is pulling you in different directions and you're getting distracted. I have so many of my coaching clients that say to me, man, I tried really hard to work on my business today, but before I knew it, I'd watched like 3 hours of fucking TikTok and I doom scrolled and watched a whole bunch of bullshit that I don't even remember. It didn't add to my life in any meaningful way. It just made me feel kind of shit. It was a bunch of people just trying to take away my agency and turn me into a zombie who just doom scrolls. I don't really want that. What do I do? And that's like, bro, why don't you block the app? Why don't you uninstall the app? Why don't you use these like newsfeed eradicator things? Fucking delete your TikTok account if you need to. This is something that, general advice here. You can all do whatever you want, but for me, if I wasn't building a business, so before I was building a business, I just didn't have any of the social media apps. Like I only have them if I'm going to be putting out content. I would never, ever have any social media app if I was just consuming content. Maybe the only exception would be YouTube when I use the browser extension that I told you about called Unhook for YouTube so that it doesn't give me the algorithm and all of that bullshit. And I would only use YouTube because there's a lot of educational content on there, like my video here today. And maybe I would also use Spotify for podcasts, but that's not really social media. Spotify is its own thing. But yeah, I would never have any social media, especially not the ones in this current day and age that want you to be addicted, that want you to just doom scroll, that literally get paid the more you doom scroll. That feels like a big conflict of interest between me and my happiness versus them and making lots of money. So yeah, you all can do whatever the hell you want. But me personally, I don't have any social media platforms and I never would unless they're for a business. Like me making some money, or if I was helping people and trying to spread the message and help people like that. I would never fucking consume content, and I never fucking consume content, with the only exception being YouTube for educational and sometimes a bit of entertainment. But I don't go anywhere near the fucking YouTube shorts feed. Fuck that trash. That's like TikTok shit. No, thank you. Again, you can all do whatever you want to. This is just what has worked for me, staying clear of social media addiction. This next one is pretty obvious. Like, I feel like most of us know this. It just takes a little bit of habit, a little bit of practice. Establish a routine. Create a daily routine or a weekly routine if you want to, whatever you want, that aligns with your natural energy levels and productivity patterns. Yes, that's why I keep saying some people don't like to get up early in the morning and start working. Figure out what works for you. Everything I'm saying in this video is what has worked for me and lots of my coaching clients, but some of them have weird patterns. Like I have a guy in the coaching group right now who works like night shift. And so he's only awake in the night and then early in the morning before he goes to bed. He sleeps during the daytime. And so, yeah, he's got a weird schedule. And so you work around that, but figure out what works for you. It goes on to say establishing a consistent schedule, that word was hard to say, helps train your mind and body to be more focused and productive during designated times. Yeah, and it helps you not have to think. Like if you have a routine or a habit that you've built, you don't have to think every day, oh, what am I going to do? You just get up and you execute on the habit or the plan or the routine without having to think. Like imagine if every morning when I wake up at 4 a.m. or 4:30 a.m., I had to like think about what I was going to do. Especially given when you first wake up in the morning, sometimes you're a little bit tired. You're still waking up. Imagine if I had to think, oh, do I want to go for a walk? Do I want to like record content? Do I want to do coaching? Do I want to play video games? What do I want to do? Should I watch some YouTube? Like, what do I want? I'd have to be taking up energy, expending energy, just thinking about what I'm going to do. But because it's a habit and a routine, and it has been for years now, I wake up, I record content, I work on my coaching group and help my coaching clients. Then I enjoy the rest of my day. Like I don't think. I have a nighttime routine as well. So maybe that's something you might want to implement too. In the evening, I turn all the lights off. I have a whole sleep routine. Turn all the lights off in my apartment, make it nice and dark before I go to bed, like an hour or two before I'm going to go to bed. I start listening to some audiobooks. I start reading a little bit. I put on the light blocking orange glasses. You can just search for light blocking glasses or orange glasses, and they help eliminate the blue light, which keeps us awake from your laptop and your phone. I have this whole routine and I start getting into a nice headspace. I do some gratitude, I do some meditating, and then before I know it, I'm falling asleep and then I wake up the next morning. I never have to think. I never have to use motivation or willpower. I did at the start to set the routine. And so let's be very clear. It might not be a routine until you make it a routine. It might take a little bit of effort, and that's okay. You might forget to do it sometimes. That's okay. Set a reminder in your calendar or have an alarm that goes off every night or a notification that says, hey, remember to wind down for bed. Remember to turn the lights off. Remember to do some gratitude. Like you might need to use reminders. I did for the first, I don't know, month or two until it became a habit, maybe 2 months. And then each one of these things became a habit. And now I don't ever think about it. But yeah, I needed to use reminders, especially in the morning. I would have a reminder every morning that said, hey, record content as soon as you wake up. And I'd go, oh, I don't really want to. Well, I do want to, but I'm tired. And like, that would happen sometimes, and you don't have to force yourself to do it, but you just sit there and say, okay, my brain is saying I don't really want to do this habit. I don't really want to do productive work. Okay, do I want the consequences that will come with not being productive? Like, do I want to not make any progress on my goal? And usually the answer is like, no, I want to make progress on my goal. Okay, so do I want to be productive right now? Yeah, I do. I'm just feeling a bit tired. Okay, that's fine. Like, wait till I wake up a little bit or whatever you have to do. But I do want to work on this goal because I want the consequences that come from being productive. So sometimes in the moment, your brain will say, I don't want to be productive right now. And then you go, okay, but do I want the consequences of being productive? Yeah, I do want that. Okay, well, would I like to be productive then? Yeah, I kind of would like to be productive. Okay, and then you do it, you get to work. Okay, this next one is one that we often forget, don't we? Practice healthy habits, prioritize self care. How often do I talk about self love, guys and girls? And maintain healthy habits that enhance productivity. Get enough sleep. Oh my God, I'm going to repeat that again. Get enough sleep. I will say it again. Get enough sleep. One more time, in case you weren't listening, for those of you in the back, get enough sleep. There you go. I even made it big on the screen. Get enough sleep. Eat nutritious meals, exercise regularly, and take short breaks throughout the day to refresh your mind. Yeah, it's pretty solid advice. As for what constitutes enough sleep, that's up to you, but usually between 7 and 8 hours is, pretty commonly accepted as decent sleep. Eat nutritious meals. That's going to depend on your diet and what you want to eat. Exercising regularly, that will change depending on who you are and what your goals are, but we all know roughly what an idea of enough sleep and something decent. If you're eating McDonald's 5 times a day and you're eating like 4,000 calories a day, I think we would all agree that's probably not the definition of a nutritious meal. If you're exercising once a month and you never go for a walk and you never use your legs, I think we would agree that's not exercise. If you never take a short break and you just try and push yourself and push yourself and push yourself until you burn out, I think we would agree that's not particularly self-loving or compassionate or kind. And so we all have a rough idea. And the good news is that you can slowly improve at these things over time. I've done enough content on sleeping, eating, diet, and stuff like that. I even have an entire article on sleep. You can just go to killyourintheloser.com and search for the word sleep. And each one of these things you can just see as something that you slowly improve at over time. It took me a good couple of years to get decent at sleep. Definitely took me a long time to be decent with my nutrition, and I'm not always perfect with that. Took me a while to get out of the house and exercise decently. Go for walks, go for hikes, go for adventures, go to the gym a couple times, like 3 times a week. It took me a while to build that into a habit. And so it's okay if it's not a habit for you. Something else that they didn't put in here that I would add while we're talking about healthy habits and like self-care and stuff is work on your mindset and your self-love and stuff like that too. Something that's a decent place to start with is my Play to Win video course. I cover a lot of this stuff, like being kind to yourself, all of that. But that can in itself be something that you work on over time. So plenty of content on this channel about self-love and compassion. There's an entire playlist on this channel called Peace/Happiness. So just go watch that. But yeah, all of this stuff. I have individual playlists of each one of these things. I have a playlist about like health and fitness that covers a lot of these topics, but this is a pretty solid one. I can't tell you how many times someone will say to me, I'm really unproductive. I just can't get very much done. And we'll go through some of the obvious basic stuff. And then I'll say, how's your sleep? And they'll be like, yeah, I get like 4 hours sleep a night. And you're like, why? Well, because I'm trying to be productive. And it's like, do you think you're very productive on 4 hours of sleep? And they're like, I don't know, man. I fall asleep all the time. I think I just need more coffee. And it's like, you need more sleep, my beautiful friend. And so sleep is one that we often neglect. We burn the candle at both ends and we think, fuck it, man. I'll sleep when I'm dead. And it's like, you would be 10 times more productive if you got a decent amount of sleep. You know, you don't have to be perfect with that. I've had long periods in my life where I was very stressed, like when in the first couple of years of working on my business, and I was very stressed. I felt like I couldn't pay the bills. And yeah, I didn't sleep perfectly, but I tried to sleep as best as I could. And so I was getting, 6 hours sleep a night. Some nights I was only getting 4 hours sleep. And so what I would do is I would take a little nap in the afternoon, or I would lay on the couch with my eyes closed for as much as I could and just let myself rest a little bit. I did my best. And so you don't have to be perfect with all of these, but I would definitely not neglect these things. Number 8, focus on one task at a time. Yes, yes, yes. Multitasking can actually hinder productivity, of course. Instead, focus on one task at a time, giving it your full attention until completion. This allows you to maintain concentration and produce higher quality work. Yes, and now sometimes you might find it a little bit hard to let go of the other stuff, and you're sort of anxious and neurotic and going, fuck, I still have so much more to do. I still got to do all these other tasks. Write them down. That's something that I found really helps me let it go. Either write it down in like a spreadsheet like I do, a list of like things you're going to work on later, or put it in your phone as a calendar reminder so you don't forget about it, or write it down on a piece of paper, put it in a notebook, whatever you have to do, but write it down somewhere or type it up somewhere so that you can let go of it and focus on the thing you're doing right now. A lot of the time when we're focusing on multiple things at once and we're stressed out and going, fuck, I better not forget all the other stuff, it's because you're trying really hard to remember it. You're hoping that you won't forget it. So write it down so that you can't forget it. And then that helps you let it go a little bit. But yeah, you're never going to be as successful if you're trying to do 5 things at once, or you're anxiously, neurotically worrying about other stuff that you still have left to do, instead of focusing on the present moment and the one thing that you're doing right now. So dedicate each moment of your time as much as you can to the one task you're doing right now. Some things that can help with this is meditation. And my favorite book on meditation for people who've never done it before and maybe tried meditation one time and you were like, I can't do it. I couldn't do it. This fucking book, it's called The 5-Minute Meditator, and it's very short, 5-minute long meditations of how to actually sit there and meditate. And you can even do these while you're doing other things. Like if you're going for a walk, there's a walking meditation in here. So you don't have to stop everything you're doing and sit in that, classical meditation pose with your hands up this, like going hum. You don't have to do any of that shit. You can meditate while you're on the way to work, meditate while you're washing the dishes, meditate while you're hanging out with friends. Like, this teaches you how to do it while you go about your life. So I would grab that. Meditation is a really big one at helping you sort of focus on the present moment and do one task at a time. And if I didn't already say this, if you feel yourself stressing about all the other stuff that you have to do, and if you find it difficult to focus on one task at a time, that's okay. I find it difficult, well, not so much anymore, but I used to find it really difficult to focus. I'm someone that has ADHD. It was always really hard for me to focus. And so if you're in that same position and you sort of struggle to focus on one thing at a time, even if you don't have ADHD, but you just find it hard to focus, I really, really, really recommend you watch this video. It's called I Have ADHD, a video on learning to love yourself. And I have a whole bunch of strategies of how to focus. Even if you don't have ADHD, that's fine. If you just struggle to focus, I really recommend you watch this video. So yeah, focus on one task at a time as best you can. If you're not perfect with that, that's okay. Just do your best and write down other tasks so that you can let go of them and you'll remember them by having written them down. I like this next one too, delegate or outsource. Identify tasks that can be delegated or outsourced to others. This frees up your time and energy to focus on more critical or specialized tasks. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Holy shit, let's bold that. Don't be afraid to ask for help when needed. Yeah, I've done so much content on this about like asking other people for help. This video here especially called Struggling, How to Ask for Help. And I talk about, if you're putting all that pressure on yourself that you have to be the lone wolf, that you're not allowed to ask for help, that you don't want to be a burden on other people. If you can just let yourself actually accept and ask for some help, man, you'll get 10,000 times more done. That could be in the form of a coach. You're very welcome to hit me up for coaching. That could be asking an expert. That could be asking other people, like if it's a workplace or a business you're building, asking other people to help you with tasks. It could be your friends. Like, it doesn't just have to be delegation and outsourcing. Basically, what this one is saying is ask for support when you need it. Could be a fucking therapist if you need that, but let people help you a little bit. And then you won't feel quite so overwhelmed. And if you do get to moments where you feel overwhelmed, or you feel like you haven't been productive, or you're like, man, I never seem to make much progress on my tasks because I can't sit down and be productive, ask your fucking friends, ask everyone that you know, like ask for support, ask for accountability. Like, it's not mentioned here in this list. It's maybe the one thing that's really missing from the advice that ChatGPT gave, but I would add accountability. I think accountability is maybe the most productive thing that you could ever do. Again, that could be my coaching program. That could be your friends. That could be a forum. That could be some sort of support network, family, but get other people to keep you accountable. Nothing makes you more productive than having people keep you accountable. Like saying, hey, by the end of this week, I want to get X, Y, Z done. This is something that I do all the fucking time, like all the time. I will shoot a message to Cam, my friend and assistant coach, and I'll say, hey, bro, by the end of this week, I want to do 10 videos. And he'll go, cool, I'll keep you accountable. Thank you. Or I would tell Emmy, I literally fucking did it right now, this moment today. Okay, so Emmy is on a plane home. She's been visiting her family. She's flying back home. She'll be home in like 3 hours from now. I literally said to her, I want to record 3 videos this morning, and I want to answer all of my coaching client questions and help them. And then that will help me relax with you. I'll be able to have the rest of the day with you. I might even take half of tomorrow off as well, and we'll go on a road trip. We'll have fun together. Can you please keep me accountable? And she goes, yeah, of course. And so that, just literally saying to someone that you care about or someone that cares about you, hey, I want to do this task and I want to have it done by this deadline. I want to have it done by today or by next week or by 4 p.m. today or whatever. Just saying that to a family member or a friend, or again, if you're in my coaching program, people use the coaching group for that. You just tell someone that you want to get something done. That massively helps you be productive, because now there's some accountability. Now you're like, well, I want to be a man or a woman of my word. And if I tell someone I'm going to do something, I want to fucking get it done. I don't want to sit there and be a liar or not tell the truth. So I want to have integrity. So that can help. I'm surprised ChatGPT didn't mention that, but that's maybe the most helpful thing, is accountability. And then the last one is kind of a rehashing of what I said before. I said you're not going to be perfect with all of this. So reflect and learn. At the end of each day, take a few moments to reflect on your accomplishments. I fucking love that so much. This is what I do every single evening. I have a reminder that goes off in my phone, in my calendar, that says, today was a success because, and then I come up with 5 reasons why today was a success. And I share that with Emmy, who's sort of like my accountability partner with life and goals and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a big one. Reflect on your accomplishments, your challenges, and areas for improvement. Hell yeah. Learn from your experiences to enhance your productivity strategies moving forward. And so to this one, again, I would add accountability. Get some accountability with this. Again, that could be my coaching program. That could be like a personal trainer or something. Could be friends, could be family, but have someone else that you share this shit with. And so at the end of each day, yeah, reflect on your accomplishments and text that to your accountability partner, or text that to your coach, or text that to your friends. And then once a week, I would do what is called an accountability check-in, a weekly accountability check-in. And you will basically ask your partner, or your partner will ask you. You'll ask each other, how productive were you? Were you on task? Was there anything you could have done a bit better? What do you feel like you did really well? How can we celebrate and give you credit? And then how can we be a little bit better, just 1% better next week? And so I do that with Emmy, my girlfriend, once a week. We've done that for the last 4 years. And we also improve our relationship and talk about what we want to improve in the relationship, what we're grateful for, all of that. And so that can be something that I would really recommend you have some sort of accountability. Me as your coach, or anyone else, or a friend or a family member or a support group, just like someone that you can reflect with and learn and celebrate and give yourself credit. Because otherwise you do start to feel like you're making no progress. You feel like you're not productive. You feel a bit lost. Let other people help you. Again, someone who's done this stuff, like a life coach or a friend or someone who's also working on their goals, but get some fucking assistance. You alone, just you're not going to be anywhere near as productive as if you have a bunch of people helping you. And yet people neglect that maybe more than anything else. I think so many people try and see productivity as just willpower alone. Like, I have to force myself to be productive. I have to use willpower and motivation. Fuck no. Why don't you get some support? Let people help you with this shit. You are not going to be as productive on your own as if you have people help you. And then ChatGPT finishes up by saying, remember, productivity is a personal journey, and it's important to find techniques that work best for you. Hell yeah. Experiment with different approaches. Yes. Be adaptable and embrace a growth mindset to continually refine your productivity habits. Absolutely agree with that. Really well said. All right, ChatGPT, thank you so much. I've recorded my third piece of content right now. I've been recording for 4.5 hours right now. I'm going to go take a little break. Then I'm going to coach my people in my coaching group. And then do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have sexual coital intercourse relationships with my girlfriend when she gets back home from her trip in a couple of hours. I'm looking forward to that. As always, ladies and gentlemen, go out there, crush those goals, and be productive. And if you're not productive, sometimes that's okay. See productivity as something that you can slowly improve at over time. You do not have to be perfect. We're here for progress, not perfection.